Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name, and I thought we'd do something fun today. I just watched the nominations for the Game Awards, like video thing, and I thought it would be kind of cool for me to, kind of go over my game of the year. I don't think there's any more games coming out before the end of December that are going to make it onto the list. Maybe I'm wrong and I'll feel like an idiot, but that'll make it into next year's list if I do one. But yeah, I wanted to start with my, I guess, top 5 games of 2024. Now, you are going to notice a little bit of a through line here in terms of the style of games that I like. But there might be one or two in there that is a little bit, there might be two that are a little bit like, oh, okay. So we're just going to jump right into it. And first, we're going to start with 2 honorable mentions. So honorable mentions, games that I love, but I'm not considering them in my top 5, but they're just games that I really loved. Number 1 is Deadlock. Now, Deadlock is the new Valve shooter. I literally don't even think you can install it. I think you have to get invited to it. I got an email whenever, and I basically just downloaded it. I was like, all right, let's give it a go. It's a MOBA, like League of Legends, but it's a third-person shooter at the same time. And so I played 97.7 hours in roughly 2 weeks, I think. Maybe it was 3 weeks, something like that, but I was playing this game non-stop. So much fun. Really, really good time. It's not my normal style of game, usually this kind of genre. I could have fun with it. But overall, it's a great game. It's a game that I can't really count as a game of the year because it's not even out yet, right? It's in pre-early access. So no one could even get it yet. But I'm going to kind of bend that rule a little bit later as well. But yeah, honestly, just a really, really good game. If you get a chance to play Deadlock, I highly recommend it. Whenever you get a chance, it'll be free and it'll just be a shit ton of fun shooting people. And I think it's a really fresh take on the genre. Now, the second one here is maybe surprising to you guys. I don't know. But a second honorable mention here is going to be Sword of Convallaria. This is not making it into my top 5. It is currently the game I'm covering on this channel. And if you look at my content, this is the game I'm playing all the time. I do not think this is Game of the Year material myself, but I do think that it is just, if you especially take that first month of playing, like if you just download the game and play it for a month, it's just a lot of fun. You don't need to spend any money. You could just use any characters you get. And as you're going from level 1 up to level 60, that journey of getting up to every 5 levels you look forward to every couple days, like, oh, I hit 55, I can now unlock the new skill, hell yeah. Or I hit 45, I hit rank 7, I can now get reactions and stuff like that. Like, and then the story missions are just fun, lots of good balance. The Spiral of Destinies is incredibly good the earlier, as you play it early in the game. It gets a little, like, it's a gacha, so as you get into the point where we've been playing for over 100 days every single day, it gets a little stale, okay? I'll admit. But it honestly is just a great tactics RPG. It has great mechanics built into it. It has a lot of good, like, these environmental effects are really good. And honestly, it's just a game that I think is worth people's time, and you could easily download it and play it for free, but it is a gacha. It comes with all the gacha drawbacks that you would expect. So that is something you are going to want to keep an eye out for. But still, I just think it's a good game. That's really all there is to it. But it is an honorable mention. So what is number 5? These are going to be in order. Number 5 on Platt's Game of the Year. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This has to make it because I thought this game was so crazy fun. And I got to tell you, I'm so happy. I was one of the people when they were coming out with Final Fantasy Remake, and people were like, we just want an honest remake of the old games. We like, almost like a RE2 remake, something like that, or a Silent Hill 2 remake. I wanted them to go fucking crazy, bro. I wanted them to change everything. I wanted to put the characters and then just go kind of crazy. And although they are kind of sticking a little bit to like the story, they're just not afraid to really expand and go in all kinds of different directions and just have a fun time with it. But it's like, this game is so premium. It's like one of the most AAA games I've seen, in a good way, not a bad way, but it's like the visuals are ridiculous. The environments are huge, expansive, interesting, visually good. The combat is fun. It's snappy. I prefer a full turn-based system myself. However, for an action like turn-based hybrid, it's pretty much the best that I've ever played. Like, The only ones that I think that are as good potentially are Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, and that's purely from nostalgia, not because it's objectively as good. This is a much more tactical, fun, interesting combat system. I don't love the upgrade systems. I don't love its way of tracking. Oh, you've gotten all the things done, you can go to the next zone now. I kind of like more of an Elden Ring, just like you're in the world and you complete what you complete and you don't what you don't, and it's okay with you missing stuff. This game doesn't want you to miss anything, but still, it's honestly just a wonderful experience start to finish. It's fun, it's beautiful, it's got a great narrative because it's based off one of the greatest video games of all time, and it's also got Tifa in it, you know, and I mean, it's got Yuffie, but you know, every game has its drawbacks. So, you know, I'm kidding. I think Yuffie's pretty cool. All right, that's number 5. Number 4 for me is Unicorn Overlord. And now this is actually a game that is going to be a lot of people's game of the year, I suspect. A lot of people say it's the best game they've played by far. And it's kind of hard to describe this game. Well, not really. I'm going to right now, but it's when a lot of people were looking at this game, people were thinking Fire Emblem, right? It has a lot of aesthetics of Fire Emblem. However, it's also a real-time strategy game, but the real-time takes place in an auto battle sense. So you have real-time on the overworld, but when you go into the fight, it is like an auto battler in that sense. But you get into these really, really cool scenes, right? So what makes this game so good is, one, it's a great length. There's just a lot of content in the game, I felt like. But its combat system is so deep in a fun and interesting way. You unlock tons of classes. I mean, there's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe if you actually look at them all, it's like maybe there's like 48 or something. But it feels like there's just tons. Like every time you go to like a new town, there's like another new class or another new whole faction of units and stuff like that. And they all have these really cool, interesting abilities. And the whole game is about making these teams that synergize in this really funny way. So it's, or not funny way, in a really powerful way. It's all just like building these really powerful engines in these teams. Like, all right, you're like, it feels like you're a programmer. You're going through line 1. It's like line 1, this unit attacks, they're going to do this, because you can set your gambit systems basically so they only trigger in certain effects. So I have a lot of videos on this game, by the way. That's like, okay, so have this. So you end up building like these quote unquote perfect teams that could do all this crazy stuff. And then you'll come up against a unit and they'll just have like an ability that's like, oh, when you do an attack, I silence you or something. And then suddenly your whole entire team falls apart. So it's really just about really good team building. It's about using these units and trying to get the most out of their strengths and complementing their weaknesses, or going all in on a crazy idea. So building teams is crazy, and building the items. The items are so good in this game. The visuals are so good in this game. The items are so good in this game. I mean, they're not just like, oh, here's a sword. Here is an equipment, a trinket slot that gives you whatever, like plus 20 attack. It's like these add additional abilities. They add very profound like effects. So you could do crazy builds with this game. It is a little bit easy because they give you a lot of power. But the final boss is one fucking tough dude if you don't know how to fight him. First time you're going through it, absolutely brutal. I don't personally really care for the narrative. The music didn't really stand out to me. I love the visuals, and really the moment-to-moment gameplay is just fucking stellar, honestly. It's everyone should be playing this game. It's just, if you like strategy games, this is one of the best out there. Hands down, bar none. Super good game. My number 4 for game of the year. Now, in a similar yet entirely different strategy genre, like I said, I'm going to bend the rule for Deadlock. This is a game that is not out yet. The Bazaar. This is a game that is currently in closed beta. However, you can buy it basically. If you get a founder's pack, you can spend $33 to get access. You get 2 keys and you unlock all the characters. There's currently 3 characters in the game, but this will be a free-to-play game. And then you're going to just be able to unlock basically other, you're going to be able to grind to get currency to unlock stuff in the game. So it'll be like a free to play, but you'll be able to get currency to buy other characters. So what is this game? This is a drafting game, a drafting auto battler. So I have a lot of videos on this on my other channel. But basically, if you look at a board state, like, let's look at a board state like this, right? So this is like, this is the enemy and this is you. Basically, you're going to have 10 slots and you're going to go to a series of shops, events, and combats where you loot items from the enemies. This is your character. You're going to collect skills, and you have a stash where you can hold a bunch of items as well. This is a really cool cosmetic. I hope I get that. That's a cool cosmetic too, if it is a cosmetic. But basically you are going to build the best build you can over the course of a bunch of runs trying to get fights. And when you go into the fight, it is an auto battler, but you're drafting before then to make a really cool build. So there's just a lot of strategy, a lot of replayability. I mean, I've played this game literally every day since it's come out on what date did it originally? October 30th. So I've played it the last 20 days, every day, nearly every hour of my free time. I have a lot of runs in this game. And here's the thing, there's 3 characters. I've almost only played 1 character because each character is like an entire game upon itself. They have so many like cards and variation in their individual gameplay. It doesn't feel like I've played some auto battlers where it's like, okay, you could play a different character and you kind of need to in order to keep the variety. The different characters are the variety. This is like each individual character has their like, if this could be a standalone game with just Pygmalion, and Pygmalion has enough builds and diversity and variance and runs that you could have a full game there. But they didn't stop there. They then added 2 more characters, and they're adding another character, and they each have their own like unique set of like 100+ cards or something. So the absolute diversity of builds and characters and gameplay is just insane. This game is so fun, and what I love about this game is that it's been one of the most fun I've had with a game this year, and it's going to just keep giving because they're keep updating it, keep adding content, more balance patches. This is not a one and done experience. This is more of a prolonged experience, but this is going to be my game of the year next year. Maybe it might be. We'll see how good it goes. But right now it is number 3 on my list, and it's only been out for about 20 days, and I've been in love with it. Number 3 is Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth. This game this is a perfect high-end JRPG. It's actually more JRPG than Final Fantasy as well. Final Fantasy is like an action RPG. This is just a straight turn-based RPG. It does have some action elements, like it's a little loose with the combat. Like if Unicorn Overlord is super tight where things follow a program thing, like this happens when this happens and then this happens, where it's all perfectly predictable. This game is a little unpredictable. Like sometimes you attack and you'll hit someone, sometimes you'll attack and your ally will kind of help you, sometimes you can knock them over, sometimes you'll, whatever. It's a little loosey-goosey, but it's really, really fun. It's a relatively simple but incredibly well executed combat system, paired with just all of the production value I could ever want in a game. It has great characters. It has great enemies. Just like they're funny. They all have like their attacks that do their thing. This guy surfs at you. The party fowler. It's got insane enemies. It's got Danny Trejo in it. And it has one of the best, I would say, out of the year. It has the best narrative or best story. Maybe not the best narrative, but the best story, the best storytelling that in any game. I don't really know how to define it. Like it may not if you're looking at a bullet point of what happens in the story, it may not be the most engaging series of events. It is engaging, but it may be not more than my number 1 game. But in terms of how they tell the story, it's like a fucking movie. Like this game can, just like the previous one, this game will make you laugh. It can make you cry. It'll make you feel every single emotion from despair to joy and everything in between. You'll feel betrayed. You'll feel fulfilled. Like this is a game that is an emotional experience in a lot of ways. And it is just so gripping from start to finish. And it is so full of just love and quality. And it's crazy fun. It's got a great game, and it goes above and beyond with all of the mini games, the storytelling, the dialogue is good. The voice acting is incredible. And it has a job system in it. So honestly, like this is like a straight up 9.5, probably 9 out of 10 game in my opinion. The only thing they could improve on here is make the combat a little bit harder and make the jobs have a little more, not diversity, but have a little more permanent unlocks that aren't just skills. Add a little more passives. I think they could actually take a look from the next game we're about to look out here about how to make strong jobs. And so yeah, this game, absolutely everyone should play this game. You play the one before this one first, because it actually is crazy important for the story. This is the first time I've ever said this for any game. Typically I say just jump into the newest one because it's the most fun, and then go back and play the other ones if you want. This one is so tied to the story of the first one. I think you were going to get so much more out of the game if you start with Ichiban's original story and then move forward from there. And then my number one, Purplatypus's game of the year. None other than the great, I think you all know. If you've been listening to this video, not to me, but to the music behind it, you already know. Metaphor Re Fantasio. This is a master class of an RPG. It has absolutely everything that I want in an RPG. I mean, I have some criticisms of it. I've kind of gone over that in my overall thoughts in the game, but I mean, I don't want to undersell it. This game has a fucking super engaging story. It has some of the best well-written characters. I mean, freaking Hulkenberg and Stroll and Heisme are so good. The other characters that come after them, I personally didn't get as attached to because they show up a little bit later in the story and they don't feel as core to the identity of the game as especially Hulkenberg and Stroll. Heisme, I think you get very early as well, so he just was there for a long, long time. The game has twists, it has turns, where the game started and where it ended was not how I expected it would go. It has one of the best bad guys of all time. Louise is such a good bad guy. I was listening to Asmund talk about this, and it was like, he is a bad guy that is smart, he is competent, he is strong, and from his perspective, he is doing a selfless, righteous thing, and that's what you want out of a bad guy. Someone that has to be stopped, but has the power and competence to fulfill their ideals, but you know you have to stop them. And so like it's so much more engaging than Joe Evil, like, I'm gonna kill all the babies in the world, aha. Why are you doing that? Because babies killed my mother died in childbirth and now all babies must die. Like, you're an idiot, bro. No, Louise has like a actual philosophy, and he has, whether or not you agree with his philosophy and his ideals, he has ideals and he has morals and he lives by them. And then it's got the greatest combat out of any game that's come out this year. It's definitely better than Infinite Wealth. I think it's better than Final Fantasy, sort of Convalaria. Like, I think it's the best JRPG combat that's come out this year. I mean, it is Persona combined with like SMT 5, but the combat itself, the press turn icon system is just fucking really good. I don't think it's the best combat that exists in turn-based RPGs. I actually think I think Octopath Traveler has a better core system. I think the BP system, the Brave Points, where you get Brave Points and then you could spend Brave Points for alternate effects on skills, I tend to like that a bit more. However, this is like the second best that exists right now, and it's better than the traditional systems of like old Final Fantasies by a long shot, in my opinion. But besides having like the greatest combat, having the greatest story, having the greatest villain, having great music that I just love, the people shit on the music. I thought the music is phenomenal. It's not Persona 5 in your face with lyrics. It's more subtle in emotion setting and vibe setting, and it's in the background. It's like but it also does its job very well, and it delivers the correct emotions at the correct times and makes you feel what the game wants you to feel. But besides all that, it's also got probably the best job system in any game. It has the archetype systems. It's maybe, again, not quite as good as an Octopath Traveler 2 in that direct sense. It depends on what you prefer. Maybe you prefer Persona. I actually really like the more restrained Persona aspect, where it's like there's not as many, but they're more interesting individually. Instead of them all having the same abilities, they pretty much all have unique abilities. And it's kind of like a Pokemon thing where they go like, I'm the Seeker, I'm the Magic Seeker, I'm the Omega Seeker, you know, so it's a little Pokemon-y in that way too. But they basically took so much stuff out of RPGs and just put it in here, and they executed them all masterfully. Everything about this game was essentially phenomenal outside of the Regicide difficulty, which I think was not as phenomenal. I think the graphic fidelity isn't the highest. Like, I'm not obvious. Like, you compare these environments to the Final Fantasy environments, like, you're not like, oh, which one has more polygons, right? It's pretty clear. But as far as an art direction, this game might have literally the most style out of any game I've played. It has more style than Persona 5. The menus, the combat, the animations. When you attack an enemy with the squad button, when you hit Y, you initiate turn-based combat. right? Also, being able to farm enemies on the open world without going to turn-based combat, greatest idea of any JRPG has had ever. I never want to go back to having to manually fight low-level enemies ever in my life. I love that you could just have that action aspect. It's a huge improvement. But when you hit Y to go into squad battle, your character, you'll see your character's eyes as they engage combat. There's like 3 or 4 different little animations that are like 1 second to a half second, depending on how you hit the gauge. So if you get attacked, your guy will get like, you know, he'll have a thing where it's like, okay, you're on the back foot because you start off ambushed. If you stun them and you do it, your character will have a more aggressive like eye thing that comes up and you're like, I'm gonna get him. If they're just not, if you're in neither of those states and you just hit Y when you're not stunned and they're not stunned, then you get a third different one. And then there was also one, like if they were like blue and you could kill them, I think you got a different one as well. It's just like, that's a little thing that there's like 3 or 4 of these different things depending on how you hit the squad battle button. But that kind of detail and that kind of effort is throughout the entire game in all aspects of it. Like the game impressed me so many times in so many different ways. It really, I could gush about it all day. I have a video going into more depth about it, but this is absolutely my game of the year. I had so much fucking fun. I played this game. It took me probably 2 weeks to 100% this game and beat it twice. I think it was like 150 hours, something like that, to get through it twice. But it's like, it went so fast that I actually didn't realize 2 weeks had passed. I was like, because I played Sword of Convalaria, I got you, right? And every like 2 weeks, there's like a new character. I was like, wow, they released this character like a week sooner than they normally would, right? And everyone's like, no, it's been normal schedule. I'm like, what? I lost like a week of my life to just playing this all the time. But I saw this screenshot a long time ago, and I knew this would be a good game because this is everything that I want. A crazy-ass enemy, a badass fucking menu, characters, art, you know, and jobs for them, a press turn icon system. It's one of the greatest RPGs ever made, and it is definitely my game of the year, a game that I think deserves as much and more success than it's gotten. I think it's been successful, and I think it deserves even more. I think Studio Zero is going to give all the other developers a run for their money when it comes to making the best-in-class RPGs. Anyway, that is my top 10 videos, and if you've been listening, we've been listening to the Metaphor Refantasio soundtrack. It's been a little quiet because I don't want to have it so loud that it was obvious and spoil everything, but I wanted it to be loud enough where you would still be able to hear it. But that's all for today, guys. Thank you very much. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. Let me know what your game of the years are down below. What do you agree with? What do you think I'm fucking way off on? And yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what your guys' game of the year is. I wouldn't be surprised to see more Unicorn Overlords up top. I wouldn't be surprised to see Black Myth Wukong's, Silent Hill 2s. Those games are very popular as well. Those aren't my genres. They're games I haven't played, but I might play them one day. I don't know. Shadow of the Erd Tree is possible. I never played Shadow of the Erd Tree, but when Shadow of the Erd Tree came out, I'm not even joking. Shadow of the Erd Tree came out. I downloaded Elden Ring because I was like, all right, I want to play some Elden Ring and then I'll get into Shadow of the Erd Tree. I played 4 playthroughs of Elden Ring start to finish, and I played like 100 hours of Elden Ring, and I was like, I don't feel like playing Shadow of the Erd Tree now. I think I'm done with Elden Ring. I just played so much normal Elden Ring that I'll never play that DLC because every time I boot up Elden Ring, I just have to play 100 hours of doing all these different builds and just having fun with different stuff, because the game is just that fucking unbelievably good. But I didn't play Shadow of the Erd Tree, so let me know what your games of the year are down below. And that's all. Much love. Platypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye!
Watch the